Hafa Guam, Adriana Cotero here, and I am joined with Guam Department of Education Superintendent Jon Fernandez. Big announcement just came down about a couple hours ago that effective immediately, the school year is coming to an end. Now, Jon, you just announced this, and as we know, the governor's latest executive order is closing all government facilities until May 5th, and the school year was going to end May 28th. So tell us what brought you to this decision today, and what does this exactly mean?
Just we've been, the governor and her team regarding the closure of government facilities and closing schools. So obviously they're evaluating the public health situation. And I did speak to her about a week ago, and I mentioned the fact that in the event that a further extension of the closure was necessary, we were recommending that we make a decision about schools closing for the end of the year, at least the cancellation of classes. And so we talked about it. I think she wanted to go ahead and leave that to the superintendent and the Board of Education to jointly figure out what needed to be done should that decision be made. And so with her announcement yesterday of the extended closure, I decided to go ahead and cancel classes for the remainder of the school year. And I've informed the Guam Education Board, and I've asked them for their concurrence and support, as well as their action to address some of the policy issues that we need to address in order to ensure that our kids are able to not be penalized by the closure, but are able to advance to the next class, the next grade level, or in the case of our high school seniors, to be able to be awarded the necessary credits to graduate on time. So our meeting is going to be held on Wednesday the 8th, and at that time the board will go over those matters.
So I know that there was a proposal that GDOE had presented to the parent-teacher organization in regards to if the school year was going to close. Is that going to stand then? That students take the is that essentially what you guys are going to do? That they have the third quarter grades in place?
Right. So that's the recommendation that we've made to the board, and so we're going to await their discussion. It's important that we be clear about the status of our classes for the remainder of the school year. And as we've always said, health and safety comes first. We've heard the latest information. I mean, just yesterday we learned there were 17 more cases. We've seen the projections from our medical team that really again, a lot of that sobering data that we all have to take seriously and ensure that we comply with the necessary precautions to try to flatten the curve and to get out of this situation as soon as possible. So when we discussed this amongst my leadership team, and I mentioned to some of our board members, there doesn't seem to be any possibility or any scenario where bringing 30,000 students and 4,000 employees back in contact with each other at our school sites on a day-to-day basis. There's just no scenario where that makes sense given the projections that we've seen. So I think with that said, I just wanted to go ahead and make the decision. As disappointed as I am the fact that we have to end the school year early, I think we have to keep our employees and our students safe. And it also, I think, would help in terms of everybody preparing to, for the summer, getting through the next few weeks with some certainty as to what the status is of the school system, and not having to worry about some of the school-related issues. If we can address those on Wednesday.
Now, I know one of the policies that you'll have to discuss with the Guam Education Board is the service learning hours. And Vice Speaker Talina Nelson had recently just introduced a bill that would exempt graduating seniors from those 75 hours. And I know it hasn't been passed yet, but so do we need that measure to pass still?
I've been keeping in touch both with our executive branch as well as our Vice Speaker, who is our chair of the Education Committee. And I did mention to her in the course of giving her updates regarding our meetings and our discussions with the board, let her know that the service learning requirement is in the law. And so we think we're going to need action that goes beyond the board. in order to waive that requirement and to ensure that that doesn't become an obstacle to granting students their diploma. So she did introduce that bill, and we're exploring whether an executive order would be sufficient to address that. But in the event that the legislation needs to be done and passed to waive that requirement, we'll work with her to get it done.
Now, even though you guys are effective immediately, the school year is ending, the grab and go meal program is continuing throughout the school year?
So we are, right. So really this is about ending classes on site at our 41 schools. But I wanted to clarify, and thank you for asking that, clarify that, first of all, the grab and go school meals program that we have in place is going to continue. And in fact, is continuing this week. And I wanted to get that word out there because many people this would normally be our spring break. Many people might think we're not serving meals, but we are providing that food support during the spring break for our students. And then we anticipate doing this through the remainder of the school year. And then in addition to that, the distance learning discussion that we had last week, distance learning efforts will continue. Teachers and our central office will continue to provide support to our families and our students at home. But of course, once the board takes action, we want to let the students know that these will not be graded activities, but really an opportunity for them to continue learning at home during this closure.
And in addition to continuing the school meals program this week, I saw that you guys are also expanding it. So you're going from 12,000 meals to 15,000?
Well, we're given the authorization to raise the number of meals based on the demand. Now, I think a couple things happened today, and we're going to monitor the situation. Number one, last week we ended up running out of meals in a couple of days last week. I ran out of meals early, so we did place a limit on the number of meals per car, and we are going to gauge demand and have the schools let us know if they need additional meals. I think today I understand that none of the vehicles were turned away. So anyone who lined up today, was able to receive a meal. So that seems to have worked. And then later this afternoon, we'll get recommendations from the schools as to whether they want to increase the number of meals that are prepared. On a normal day, we serve 15,000 lunches. So we're using that as a benchmark for going ahead and ramping up production if needed.
And I saw that in regards to interscholastic sports. So all fourth quarter sports are canceled as well.
Right. I mean, we wanted to make sure that those decisions were made in sync with the school system's decisions regarding classes. So when we were able to make a decision about ending classes early, we also wanted to make sure that the message was clear with regard to sports as well. So both classes are suspended for the rest of the year. That means we're not going to be able also to have sports for both middle school and high school fourth quarter sports.
And graduating high school seniors. So what can you tell them about graduation? And I mean, do we know if there will be some sort of ceremony at all, even if it's?
Yeah, well, ultimately what our message is to our students is that graduation from a very formal standpoint has to do with receiving your diploma and having your diploma, being able to go to the next level, whether it's college or to a job, being able to demonstrate your graduation from high school. And that diploma is critical. So that's the first step. The second issue, of course, is they're asking about their ceremony. And although we want to keep all options on the table, I know there are some of them who are suggesting a simple postponement. We'll keep those ideas on the table, but I also want to encourage everybody to just pay attention to the public health situation that's out there, because until we're able to convene in large gatherings again, it's unlikely that we'll have graduation ceremonies in the way we've had them in the past in the field house. So I also encourage them to think creatively about alternatives to a physical graduation ceremony. I'm going to let them be creative in thinking about what we can do to support them through any online types of celebrations. We know it's important to them. We know they wanted to mark their accomplishments and celebrate with family. But we're all in a new situation now and trying to adjust. So my encouragement to them is let's find a way to go positively through this and find ways to celebrate, even within the limitations that we face today.
Any information?
Well, by the way, Adriana, what we're also going to do, we know there's more than just the questions about the ceremonies and the diplomas. There's a lot of questions we're getting about verifying their credits, verifying their graduation, questions about summer school, and so forth. So as we make those decisions, we are going to put up on our website, and when we launch it, we'll let the media know. But we wanted to dedicate for our seniors so we can gather their questions and answer them in a way where they can just, they can refer their friends and check for updated information as we go along. So we will put together a senior resource page just to answer all the questions that we know are out there.
I was actually going to ask, what about summer school?
Right. We're still, again, we're still, we're making plans for any scenario, but again, it all depends on whether or not we are able to convene with, and open up and have students show up in our school facilities. And then I also encourage our team to start thinking about the alternatives as well. We've started and are going to be pushing a distance learning strategy to get through the remainder of the year. But we also are thinking very hard about the possibility that we might have to do the same thing through the summer and also entering the new school year. So there's a lot of work that'll continue and be done to wrap up this year, but really invest in the possibilities of having to do this for an extended period of time. So investing, whether it's in equipment, more training for our teachers, more access for students. We're talking a lot about how do we prepare for that possibility of not being able to open up, in the similar way that we've done in the past.
So this could potentially be in online courses.
Well, some type of distance learning. I don't think that what we're doing, online courses for kids at home replaces what kids get when they come to school, when they meet with their teacher in their classrooms, when they interact with their peers. I don't think it's meant that it's able to really replace that experience, but we definitely do need to have an opportunity and a way to continue teaching and learning should the pandemic situation last longer than we hope. So again, all the work that our teachers and our central office staff are putting into thinking about these remaining weeks, we've told them this is not about closing the school year. This is about preparing for the possibility that we might have an even longer closure. So let's think about how we put more structure on this, where we need to invest our efforts and our resources, and think about the possibility that when we come back in August, if we're not, if these prohibitions on large gatherings are not lifted, we might be faced with a situation where we have to figure out the first month or two of school. So again, it means that our summer is going to be very busy. And we hope that the federal dollars that are coming our way and the flexibilities and the guidance from USDOE will work hand in hand with us in terms of our efforts to make the necessary investments to make this a reality for our kids. So we're going to work on that over the next couple of months.
And so you said that board meeting is on Wednesday this week, and you guys will be entertaining all the different policies that will need to be, I guess, either some suspended, some waived in order to make the school year end.
Right. I mean, so, on April 8th at 3:00, this is a special meeting, and in our special meetings, we don't have the public participation component as we would in our regular meetings. And this will take place on a Zoom meeting, but will be streamed live on Facebook, on our Facebook site, so that everybody can participate in terms of watching and monitoring what's happening. The ideas that we've shared, though, have been shared with our board in a public work session. We've shared it with our island-wide parent-teacher organizations, teacher staff, as well as our students, student participants. So we do think that these ideas and recommendations are well vetted prior to going to the board, and we just need to get the board's final decision on it. So April 8th, for those who want to watch, it'll be on our GDOE website, on our Facebook site. And it'll be it'll be streamed live. So we hope people will tune in.
Since you've had prior conversations with them, were there any concerns at all when it comes to the grading policies that your proposal for that, or even the waiving of the requirement?
We've had a lot of discussion about the options, right? I mean, about different ways to calculate grades, and what do you do with different scenarios, different cases. I think the idea was, because we're not able to conduct regular classes over the fourth quarter, and we know that there are different levels of access to the internet, different levels of access to electronic devices, that it would be very inequitable to start grading work, knowing that there are those challenges out there. On the other hand, we also wanted the grades to reflect the work that has been put into the courses to date. So the third quarter grades seem to be where everybody seemed to reach a consensus on. These are grades that the students did earn through their work and effort, and carrying them over to the fourth quarter, even though we know that some students may have wanted to do better and work harder, or some might have not done as well. We're just going to have to call it even, and I think we all agreed that the third quarter grades, ending up as a semester grade was a fair way to address all the concerns and issues out there. So the board again has the final say, but they were involved in listening to the rationale and the discussion.
Of course. All right. Well, I know you have to go. So is there anything else you want to add real quick?
I just want to say again, to our public and to our students and their families, of course, it was a great trepidation and a great disappointment to have to announce the closure and of our schools and the end of classes for the school year. We're in a very unique situation, unprecedented situation. And I want all of our kids out there to know that as we discuss the situation with management, with their teachers and administrators, all of us, were unable to say goodbye to our students this year, and especially to our graduating seniors who, again, we talk about this year's crop being born around 9/11 and now graduating during this COVID-19 pandemic. What an amazing class of 2020, the experiences that they've gone through. So we hope to really have them take the positives out of it, to learn from the adversity that they've gone through, and to hopefully, a crop of virologists, a crop of medical professionals, a crop of public sector, leaders will come out of this class ready to take on the future challenges. So we encourage them to look at that silver lining and be positive as we try to get through this for our entire island community.
Of course, they've endured more than many others.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Adriana. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
And thank you all for tuning in. Again, that was Guam Department of Education Superintendent Jon Fernandez announcing the end of the school year effective immediately. As he mentioned, they will be meeting with the Guam Education Board on Wednesday, so be sure to tune in for any further details in regards to the different policies that will be discussed, and this includes grading, promotion, and high school graduating seniors requirements.